All right, sway bar. Now, you can run a sway bar if you want. I won't even test drive one without a sway bar on it. Number one, because it's so simple. Number two, it's so cheap. And number three, it's super necessary. I don't like that body roll. So when it comes to sway bars, don't overthink it. This is a $15 sway bar. I think it's off of a Yamaha, like Big Bear quad. And you can see it fits on here. The only thing that's rough on me is that these mounts are right in line with my tube chassis, so I can't make a bracket unless I come way up here. Now this is the lowered ride height, so this angle is just going to increase if I change the suspension to make it ride a little taller. I like it to sit right around this bar right here because I can use this bar to see if it's level, so that way I'm not cocked at all. And this angle coming up, if I lift it, it's just going to level this out. So you want to stay in a certain degree of the sway bar so that it's working properly. So I am going to carefully cut through the tubing so I can mount it right here. Now I've done this on my other ones and it's worked out really well. This doesn't weaken this tube at all. The strength is on the outsides and we're drilling through the centers. Just kind of like drilling through a joist in your house. Let's get it done. All right, so just like everything else I do, I try to improve on this design. Now I drilled the hole and I thought, well, what if I just tap it instead of going all the way through and doing a big nut and bolt? It's hard to get a straight line through on tubing, especially if you're off the center line. So I tapped it. I don't have the right size bolts in stock, so I'll have to go to the hardware store, but they're holding. Now, there's not a lot of bite on these threads, so I don't know if this is gonna tear out. But I have a secondary plan. I'm gonna get some nuts to go with those bolts. And if this tears out, all I'm gonna do is put a nut on the back side of this and then line it up and then just weld that nut to the frame. It'll be covered up by the bracket. It'll be plenty strong enough for any kind of force this is under. So yeah, I like it a lot. It's gonna be so much cleaner without that nut and bolt hanging out the other side. Clean. All right, so the final thing to do is pretty easy. We've made tabs before, and it's just making tabs for the bottom side of this. This lower cross member on the lower A-arm lines up, gives you some clearance on the top. I'm probably gonna offset it towards the outside, maybe tuck it in this corner, but you want a straight line going down. All right, we've got our super simple brackets made. Now, a good way you can tell that you did it right is if these both just lay in place where you want them. That tells you that your bar is even, and that is awesome. Tack them, weld them. I don't think we're gonna revisit this one. Next up is the exhaust. Now I found a 90-degree bend in my stockpile, and I'm just gonna reuse it. I'm gonna stick it on just like that. It's not gonna interfere with the sway bar. It's not gonna interfere with the suspension. So next is making a flange. Here's how you do that. All right, so I've got my flange, custom flange for this 459. I don't know if anybody makes any yet, but it only took a few minutes to make my own. We'll get that on there. Now I had this old pipe and just a pile of junk. I think it might be for, oh, it's a MotoGP exhaust technology. So this is zero cost to me. I'm sure I paid for it somewhere, but I'm not seeing it right now. So all I'm gonna do, since I can't see the inside of the flange to line up the inside of the tube, I'm just gonna mark the angle that I want by lining up 2 marks. So there's 1 and there's 2. Now I'm just going to take this flange off, line up the inside diameter with the inside diameter of the flange, weld it on, and we will have an exhaust. That's easy. All right, we still need to make a hanger for the back, but I'm too excited to hear what this sounds like. So let's get a little sound bite. Yes! Alright, so here's how I'm making a simple exhaust bracket. I've got a piece of 2" by 1/8" flat bar. I measured 2.5 inches and I centered it at 1.25 inches, and then I centered out about 1 inch off of that. I measured in 3/8 of an inch because of how I'm going to hang it, and I've got a line here where I'm going to put a bend in it so that we can weld it to the exhaust, have a bend to match that we're connecting it to. So let's see how it works out. All right, so here's our simple bracket. All I'm gonna do is find the height I want it and just center it on my vertical. I want spacing from the frame. The whole point of this is to keep the exhaust off the frame so it doesn't rattle. Once the hanger's in place, all we gotta do is tack it to the exhaust. So my last order of business for the day is redoing the seats. I'm putting in sliders. Now, all I've done is I've taken angle iron. If you want to see the full mock-up, check out the 2-seater driver fit-up. Now these fit tightly between these rails, and I've got the sliders put in here on top of these. Now I used a bolt position that would work with either the seat brackets or the sliders, so if it's too tall, I can take the seat sliders out and just use the brackets. And now I'm just going to put the seat in right on top of the brackets. I'm going to bolt them in, and then I'm going to tack it in place. That'll line everything up exactly how I want it, and that's where it'll be welded.
some donuts.
And you better do some donuts.
Yeah. You hitting 31.1. Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Ready to choke it?
Yep.
Two more laps.
Ready?
VF-1 is good for any age at all. Next episode, we're going to see how high we can get this thing, and we're going to make a safari mode for the VF-1 chassis. VF-1 is variable frame kart, so why not make it good for trail riding along with crazy cross-kart driving? Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned. There's always more to come. Thanks for watching.